Halloween, you guys. Happy Halloween. Typically, we usually like to go out and do the whole trick-or-treat thing, but people aren't really a big fan of my costume for some reason. Yeah, I never really got that. So I figured this time around, this year, we can go ahead and just have a little bonfire and start talking about scary games, because that's what we like to do. We like to do games. So I figured if we're going to talk about scary games, well, in my opinion, what's better than Silent Hill? Silent Hill is one of the scariest game franchises I've ever played. My first exposure to the series was Silent Hill 2, back on my Xbox, way back in the day. The game was scary enough to make me feel uneasy with the sun up in the middle of the afternoon, after school on a weekday, when I was 15 years old. One time in particular, I actually turned the game off from just being too weirded out from the Silent Hill, if you know what I mean. So, needless to say, Silent Hill has always kind of left an impression with me, and I've played almost every single installment of the games since then. To me, Silent Hill always seemed to really be the hallmark of survival horror, and I figured what better franchise to talk about on Halloween than Silent Hill? Well, let me give you my 2 cents. Silent Hill Homecoming was the first Silent Hill game that was on the 7th generation of consoles, i.e. the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was also the first Silent Hill game in the series that was developed by a North American game developer. And that really shows in this game. Japanese horror and American horror tend to be very different. Japanese horror always tends to be more psychological and relies on getting into your head. American horror is much more geared towards violent and oftentimes gory imagery. Between the two, the North American approach relies much more on shock value as opposed to thought-provoking scenarios, something the Silent Hill franchise would highly rely on in order to subject players to the fear factor. That's not to say that all American horror is just violent imagery and all Japanese horror is mental, as the two tend to mishmash to keep from being followed too closely. This is just the common consensus. And this brings us back to Silent Hill Homecoming. What's the game like? Is it good or is it bad? How does it compare to others in the series? Let's see. Ooh, spooky scary. This game is so scary, even the text is trembling with fear.
Just look at it!
So the game begins with our protagonist, Alex Shepard, being wheeled around on a gurney in the hospital from the movie Jacob's Ladder. Alex struggles to break free of the restraints in order to escape the derelict hospital. Before long, you run across Josh, Alex's younger brother. Throughout the entire game, you'll be following Josh to get him to safety, being the main motivation of the game. It isn't long before we find a weapon to defend ourselves with, but only to immediately have everything morph into the distorted hellscape of the area we originally were in. Then we get attacked by a nurse, and wow, let's talk about the perfect woman. I mean, look, great figure, and those boobs. And she has her mouth covered, so you don't get to hear her nagging. She got a knife though, but I mean, yeah, that's normal. Okay, I know I'm kicking the bitching off a little bit early, but I just gotta get this out of the way. One of the first, and in my opinion, biggest problems is that you can't set the vertical camera to inverted. I'm old school, like Star Fox on Super Nintendo old school. I have to have my camera inverted. Up is down and down is up. But you could change it to inverted when you aim. I don't know why they do it just for this and not the camera that you'd use for the majority of the game. Or whatever. I'm sure most of you've noticed by now, but for those of you who haven't, this game borrows heavily from the movie, in which turn borrows heavily from Silent Hill 2. And to put Silent Hill 2 in perspective as far as the series goes, it's kind of like the Final Fantasy VII of the series. Pretty much the most iconic and tends to be a reference point for other installments thereafter. So the beginning of the game was just a nightmare that Alex wakes up from on a drive back home as he's a soldier that was just discharged. I wonder what it's like to serve for a country with a mirrored American flag. He lives in a town called Shepherd's Glen. You know, that iconic name of that game with a haunted town. Shepherd's Glen? You know, because it's a fucking Silent Hill game. Makes sense. You run into Judge Holloway shortly after your arrival. You guys are in exchange talking about catching up with others and how the town has changed, seeing as how it's the president of the Silent Hill fan club. You can go inside Town Hall to speak with Judge Holloway a little bit more, but it's just more of the same. However, this interaction is the first to show that there are multiple choices to pick from when you have certain exchanges with other characters in the game. So you make it home and you find Alex's mother, who's clearly catatonic. Alex asks where everyone is, and his mother tells him that his father went out to go look for Josh.
I don't know. Your father went to look for him.
So Alex continues exploring the town to find clues to learn where his brother is, and also what happened to everyone else as well. As you explore, you come across Elle, Judge Holloway's daughter, by the police station putting up missing persons posters. She's very happy to see Alex, clearly, surprised that he's back in town at all. Alex asks what's been going on, and Elle says that everyone has been going missing, more people each day. Alex addresses the issue, and Elle makes it clear that this whole town has become trouble.
Trouble? Look around you, Alex. This whole place is in trouble.
Alex says that he's going to find Joshua and leave as soon as he can, and that Elle should do the same. Elle hands Alex an extra radio, just in case. So as you explore, you cross paths with Curtis, the guy who runs the junkyard. He looks kind of like Steve Buscemi. Alex asks where Josh is. Curtis tells Alex to go find Mayor Bartlett, who spends his time digging up graves.
You want to talk to the mayor. He knows everybody's business. Same place he is every day. Digging up people's graves.
You ran by him in the graveyard as you passed through. So Alex heads back, but once he gets to the street, someone radios in.
Bill, you there?
Hello?
Ooh, spooky, scary, invisible radio. Ooh. This truly is a horror game. Oh, yeah, and there's this thing behind him, but whatever. You make it back where you see Bartlett digging up the grave, but he isn't here anymore. You continue into a crypt that belongs to the Bartlett family. As you interact with a child-sized coffin, you have to do a quick puzzle to unlock it. It opens to reveal a wristwatch with an inscription, "Forgive me," on it. Then, Alex has an aneurysm and collapses. He comes to find himself in Silent Hill? Whoa! Hit the fucking brakes! So you mean to tell me, after approximately 2 hours of gameplay, you finally find yourself in Silent Hill? Then why are you in Shepherd's Glen? They're not the same place after all? Shepherd's Glen isn't some place that was built over Silent Hill or some shit like that? Then what the fuck? What's with the fog and the monsters? All the creepy shit? Is what you're thinking, right? Well, skip it. So there goes Josh again. He runs into a nearby hotel that you follow him into. So you do a few things, fight a few demons, help some old lady that cheated on her husband get some stuff back, and then, just when you thought this game couldn't be any more shameless, there he is. Pyramid Head. And he's in this game for no other reason than fan service. Remember when he said that Silent Hill 2 is like the Final Fantasy VII of the Silent Hill franchise? Well, here's the biggest reason why. Cloud is in his game, then in a bunch of other games, then in more games after that, then in like a movie or two. Same thing with Pyramid Head. First he's in Silent Hill 2, and then he's in this game, and then he's in some kid's game on the DS? Okay, new international track and field. Look at this shit. Now look at this. Fucking Pyramid Head. Forward, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh snap! Oh shit! Fuck you, other guy. Look at that shit. Look how fucking buff they made him look. Everything you hold dear is his dislikes, and his skill is strength. Pyramid Head has been sent from the depths of hell to compete against mankind and show that demons can go for gold. Do all the weights. All the weights. All the weights. Do all the weights. Ah! Fuck this game. It fucking sucks. Don't forget the 2 shitty movies he was in. No. Can't forget those. You know what's funny? The Final Fantasy comparisons are uncanny. I mean, look, if you put a big metal triangle on Cloud's head to help shape his anime hair, it'd be the same guy, giant sword and all. Silent Hill is also similar to Final Fantasy in the regard that with every installment, it's supposed to be a different story about the person you play as without any connection to others before it. Yes, there are supposed to be themes that are identifiable because you've seen them before, but let me tell you why this is a problem with this game. All the monsters and demons are supposed to be reflective of some sort of inner anguish or turmoil that physically manifests itself reflecting these feelings. In Silent Hill 2, James Sunderland, who is the main protagonist, has many interactions with Pyramid Head in tandem with his inner turmoil during key developing points as to what James's motivation actually is in Silent Hill. I say it like this, for one, because James initially doesn't really know why he's going to Silent Hill in the first place, other than finding his wife who died 3 years earlier, which this is said at the beginning of the game. And for 2, quite frankly, I don't want to give out any spoilers for this game, and to go further in explaining Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2 would do so. But this in itself is why you can't have Pyramid Head show up in this game, or in any other Silent Hill game for that matter. It contradicts the lore. And I guess they want a cop-out too, saying that his name isn't Pyramid Head, but instead it's Boogeyman. Like, come the fuck on, you guys, it's Pyramid Head! So after melting into hell, like it likes to do in the movie, you find Mayor Bartlett. Alex has another conversation that involves multiple questions to ask. The exchange leads to Bartlett talking about him being a good father and that times are bad in Shepherd's Glen.
You shouldn't have come back, Alex. Times are bad. People don't trust me anymore.
After their exchange, a giant monster comes out of the ground, hanging from the ceiling, and smashes Bartlett, violently killing him. To take him down, you have to destroy the meat sacks hanging from the ceiling that serves as a counterweight. After bringing it to the floor, you need to damage it just enough to where you could see the XYZ Cartesian coordinate system. However, that's if you're doing it wrong, because that only happens when you aim your pistol for whatever reason. When the boss lays on the floor, you have to finish it off with the hatchet. It can't be anything else, it has to be the hatchet. And the game doesn't tell you that either. After that, Alex passes out and wakes up in a jail cell. Before long, Deputy Wheeler shows up brandishing a shotgun, asking Alex for answers. You have another exchange that involves player input, and once you bring up monsters, everything makes sense to Wheeler.
It was some kind of creature, but worse than the others.
Wheeler says it's not safe anymore and tells Alex to follow him. I don't know why he'd lock him up in the first place then, though, especially if he knows that there are already monsters in the building. I mean, why take the time? Wheeler mentions to Alex that the local doctor, Dr. Finch, knows something about what's going on and that they have to get to him. Elle radios in that she's being chased and Alex tells her to meet her at the parking lot. Once you make your way back there, you meet up with Elle and Alex tells her that him and Wheeler got separated in the escape. As the monsters make their way closer, they take refuge by escaping through a manhole. In the sewers, Alex realizes that Elle's sister has also gone missing.
I didn't know.
What? I can't hear. What is she saying? Hello? So you make your way through the sewer. More monsters, more fighting, and then a mini boss fight. During the fight, you can hear Elle on the other side of the gate screaming in fear. Once you make your way to where she was, you find her radio in a pool of blood. And then that's pretty much it. No cutscene or anything. It's more of an event when you get out of the manhole for the sewers as opposed to the on-screen message when you find Elle's blood. Shortly after this, you see Dr. Finch. He's hysterical and Alex pursues him into the doctor's office. Alex finds one of Doc Finch's daughter's dolls. This causes Alex another aneurysm, and Alex wakes to find himself once again in the hellish alternate of where he was before he collapsed. As you begin, you see Josh once again, and it's another game of Follow the Josh. You continue down many rusted staircases and platforms. Eventually, you find your way to Dr. Finch again, with him having dozens of self-inflicted cuts on his body. When Alex gives Dr. Finch his daughter's doll, he begins bleeding profusely. And from the puddle of blood rises a giant porcelain doll that first cradles the doctor, but then bites his head off. So you fight her by destroying all the porcelain on her limbs. Once you've given her enough damage, you'll enter a QuickTime event where your axe that you've been using turns into a crowbar, because... So, she then takes the second form where she crawls around on all fours, hopping, climbing, and so on. So, more of the same, just dish out enough damage to where you can finish her off with your crowbar. She then drops a key and Alex recovers it just before getting taken under her own puddle of blood. So with that key that you find, it unlocks a secret passage in the town hall that leads to an underground chamber where you find a ceremonial dagger that also serves as a key. You find a multitude of information about the cult that the town was involved in, because of course they were involved in a cult. I mean, that was your first guess too, wasn't it? I mean, why else would all this crazy demonic shit be going on? So as you make your way through the mild maze to find an exit, you make your way to a ladder and use that to ascend to an escape. Did my game crash on me? Are you serious? I guess we gotta start from our last save, guys. Fuck! So you make your way to a ladder to escape, and it didn't crash this time. You come to surface in a crypt that is in the graveyard that you can leave using the dagger as a key. So you make your way back to Alex's house and use the dagger on his father's man cave in the basement to find the attic key. So, clearly the next place to go is the attic, where a cutscene triggers once Alex enters the room. It's a flashback, at least I've always thought it to be a flashback, of Alex eavesdropping on a conversation that Josh and their father are having. Josh and Alex's father give Josh a chain with a graduation ring on it, because that's what it looks like, saying that it's a hand-me-down that belonged to their grandparents and great-grandparents thereafter. Their father instructs Josh to not show the ring to anyone, not even Alex. No questions asked. So after this little cutscene, there's a slider puzzle that needs to be solved. Once it is, a drawer opens to reveal a letter written by Alex's father about how the people of the town are being taken to Silent Hill, and that he's realized the evil of it all. Alex takes the letter and confronts his mother about it. During the exchange, they get jumped by these guys in gas masks. Because it's still a Silent Hill game. And what's a Silent Hill game without not making any fucking sense anymore? So these guys abduct Alex's mother, and in the middle of the confrontation, the world warps once again to the Hellscape version. So fight a few more monsters, do a few more puzzles, and once these conditions are met, the Hellscape dissolves and everything returns to normal. And then, whoa! Elle shows up? Well, I guess for no other reason than the game just needing her to. She says that her mother and everyone is missing, and that Alex thinks that they're all in Silent Hill. And if that wasn't enough Deus Ex Machina for you, Wheeler radios in as well.
You're not getting rid of me that easy.
Alex says get a boat because they're going to Silent Hill, and during the boat ride they begin talking about what they know about Silent Hill. Wheeler says that he was looking for a job to work with the police in a place called Bram's. They had a story there at the PD about how a cop had gone to Silent Hill, but she never returned. Because this game just hasn't made it clear enough yet how much of a big throbbing boner it has for the movie. And look, I know Sybil is in other Silent Hill games to begin with, but my point is, if she wasn't and was only in the movie, this particular line of dialogue would still be here. So anyways, Alex and Elle begin to poke fun at each other in an almost romantic way. Because this is also something that's synonymous with the Silent Hill series. This is cut short, however, as these rowboats magically don't make any noise so that these guys can sneak up on the boat Alex and company are on. This also goes for the other large boat that bumps into theirs, catching Alex off guard and knocking him into the water. I mean, come on, man. You could see it in the direction of where Alex was looking just before it hits the boat. So, after this, the game... What happened? Did it only kinda crash this time? Why is it still showing the loading screen, but I can hear what's going on? Oh my god, this is ridiculous! I played this game like 5 years back, and sure, I had some bugs here and there, but the game never crashed on me. And then 2 times in a row during loading screens? Come on, game! You could have gotten at least a 70 with the retest, but you decided to fuck off a second time. So Alex comes to on a beach in Silent Hill, and he's dry from what I can tell. Having been separated from Elle and Wheeler, he's now on his own once again. However, it's not long until Wheeler radios in Alex, saying that the captors have taken them to the prison. I guess they just let him keep his walkie because they're such nice guys. So Alex makes his way to the prison only to find an electrified fence blocking the entrance. He finds that they're drawing power from the nearby hydroelectric station and goes to shut it down. Once you enter the building, you need to turn the valves off to kill the power. But then you're confronted by human enemies, some with firearms. Such a staple in the Silent Hill franchise. Nothing says Silent Hill quite like an over-the-shoulder shootouts with other people. Okay, can I take a quick second to talk about the combat? You have to fight 90% of the monsters you come across. And being an ex-military soldier, the game really wants to show off Alex's skill set when it comes to combat. The problem is it works like crap. Yeah, sure, combat isn't supposed to be high tier in Silent Hill games. It's supposed to be stiff and clunky. But that mixed in with you being required to fight almost every monster you come across isn't a good mix. It doesn't instill fear, it instills frustration. The fear comes from knowing that there's a real risk in an encounter with an enemy. But in this game, you feel like you're always at a disadvantage. And then this game gives you the dollar store version of Z-targeting on top of that, so you know they wanted to have an emphasis on fighting. But no, it's stupid, it's tedious, and it just feels like a chore coming across every enemy in the game. Ugh. Anyways. So Alex kills the power and makes his way back to the prison. Man, I'm seeing a pattern here. These things really hate law enforcement. So Alex makes his way into prison and gets radioed by Wheeler once again.
Alex, where are you?
Wait, what?
Alex, where are you?
Is that 2 different people or something? So you go find Wheeler in a prison cell and rescue him. As they begin heading towards saving Elle, a monster shows up.
Fuck. You cuff him. I'll read him his rights.
So, despite what Wheeler says, a little police brutality gets the situation handled, and you both make your way towards Elle. At one point, Wheeler stays behind at a guard station to control the doors as Alex gets to them. Before long, Alex finds his mother shackled up in one of those machines you see in the Saw movies. She's delirious, not knowing if it's Alex or not. She apologizes to Alex, saying that her and his father loved him very much, but they said that they can only choose one.
So much. But they said we could only choose one.
Mom.
Alex asks for her to stop, but she begs for him to kill her to end her agony. So he raises his gun, and for a literal fraction of a second is an axe, and then gives you a choice on whether to kill her or not to kill her. In this playthrough, I chose to kill her, and there's a specific reason for that, but I'll touch on that in a bit. So once she's dead, the machine engages, separating her body, and the blood that spills causes the world to change into the hellscape once again. Soon after, you run into Wheeler again. He shows Alex a list that he got from one of the soldiers with Elle's name on it. With the situation growing even more dire, they hurry to find her. They find Judge Holloway strapped to a chair. Alex gets Holloway free while Wheeler attempts to stall the Order's soldiers from releasing the gas. Once she's freed, Alex drops the locket that Elle gave Alex on the boat. He ends up giving her the locket, and she says that the locket isn't hers, that it belonged to Nora, Elle's sister. Immediately after that, something grabs Wheeler and pulls him into the wall. Alex urges for Holloway to escape so he can save Wheeler and Elle. Oh, hey, what the fuck was that? What was that about? Ah, well. So, the human centipede shows up, because I don't give a rat's ass anymore, and then you see Josh run by. As you pursue, you find your way to the Church of Doom. Like the game. In all seriousness, though, it does look pretty cool. So you run after Josh and make your way to the church. After finding some keys to open a hidden entrance behind an organ, you find Alex's father tied up. His father says that Alex hates him, but that he understands. Because despite this, he says that Alex still wears his dog tags. Alex is confused and says that they're his. His father tells him that he was in a mental hospital ever since the accident, the night after he gave his brother the ring. Confused, Alex gets upset and asks where Joshua is. Oh, look! There he is! There he is! So his dad is dead, but Alex continues forward to save Josh all the same. He makes it to an elevator where he finds Curtis, the junkyard guy. They both go down the elevator, and once Alex steps off, Curtis strikes him with a hammer, knocking him out. When Alex comes to, he sees Holloway and tells her that he couldn't find Elle and apologizes. Holloway responds by being coy, to say the least, and Alex realizes that something's up. Holloway begins monologuing about everything that's been happening in Shepherd's Glen, as villains often do, and explains that she killed her daughter Nora, Elle's sister. She explains that the founders of Shepherd's Glen wanted to secede from the Order in Silent Hill, but made a pact with their god out of fear. Once every 50 years, the 4 descendants of the 4 founders have to kill one of their own children to protect Shepherd's Glen. Alex asks if Josh was one of the 4 children, but Holloway said that his father couldn't do it and begins to rant about it. She then sends Curtis to kill Elle and proceeds to kill Alex herself. So, that little smirk from before makes sense now, doesn't it? Alex breaks his restraints and turns the drill on Holloway, taking her out. Alex then rushes to save Elle by confronting Curtis, being forced to kill him as well. He breaks Elle out of her restraints, and the two try to find a way to escape. While navigating the lair to escape, you find Wheeler restrained with a whole bunch of knives stabbed in him. Wow, that's dicked out. He's still breathing. You're given an option to save him or let him die, pretty much. I don't even know why this is an option. Why wouldn't you give him a med kit? Soon after, Alex tells Elle that she needs to get Wheeler to safety and that he needs to find Joshua. So a little further ahead takes you to another satanic puzzle, because that's what they all are. They're satanic puzzles. By solving the puzzle, it opens a room with 4 different tombs in it. Upon further inspection, each tomb has a plaque with the name of one of the 4 children that were sacrificed, spanning 4 generations. Alex reads a plaque with his name on it. He immediately has a flashback of asking his brother to get dressed. Following that is the 2 in a boat, and Josh is asking why they're out on the lake. Josh's fear is apparent, and Alex continues to antagonize him. As Alex continues to harp on Josh pulls out the ring that their father had given them that same day. Alex takes it from him and teases him. Josh gets upset and demands the ring back. As he grabs the chain, he pulls and pulls. Alex then lets go, causing Josh to fall back and hit his head, only to then fall into the water and drown. Alex begins to have a mental breakdown and rambles about a fixation he has with saving his brother. So, one more mild brain aneurysm and then the hellscape flakes into existence. A spider-like beast descends to the floor in which you have to contend with. This is the game's final boss, and once you kill it, you slice the beast open, freeing Joshua. Frustrated that he forgot what had happened to Josh, he leaves the ring and the flashlight with him and then turns to leave. Alex then crawls from the manhole and sees Elle. They're happy, they hug, don't know what happened to Wheeler, and then the credits roll. So there you go. Silent Hill Homecoming. How do I feel about it? Well, I did go into this game with every intention on hating it to death. But to be honest, I may have developed a little bit of a mild appreciation for this game. Silent Hill is a series that relies very heavy on symbolism that associates with the main character. Homecoming is kind of in the middle. The game has Alex have a fixation on finding and saving his younger brother Josh, even though he's already dead. And since Alex had a mental breakdown, the game alludes to this time in the mental hospital at multiple different instances. Whether it's through the letters and notes that you find in the game, or when you see all the different hospital signs in the hell descents. And to me, that's kind of clever, as a Silent Hill game should be. But on the flip side, there are a lot of elements of the game that don't follow this reoccurring theme faithfully, and that could be most notable in the monsters. None of which really pertain to any type of feelings or pain that would manifest into something physical that's based on Alex's character. The Lurker? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. The Schism? I do not know the pieces fit. This club arm thing with the lady parts that hates law enforcement? I don't know what it's saying about Alex. It just feels like the developers decided to put something that was odd and Silent Hill-y and kind of missed the point. And don't even get me started on Pyramid Head. And there are multiple endings in this game, by the way, but only based on 3 specific interactions. The interaction with Alex's mother, father, and Wheeler. Which is stupid in itself, only because that gives the illusion that your character's decisions have weight when speaking to other characters in the game, when really it doesn't matter at all. But just these 3 interactions do. This is something that I think they could have done much better and much simpler. The bosses, on the other hand, are a little bit more to form on their design. Finch bleeds from self-inflicted cuts and has the evil incarnation of Scarlet, his late daughter, coming into existence as she was killed by his knife. Joey, Mayor Bartlett's son, was buried alive and came back as a demon tree. The human centipede Nora dies when you uncover her mouth, allowing her to breathe, as it was because Judge Holloway killed her by strangulation. Things like these I find clever. But again, they don't really reflect on what Alex as a character struggles with. And sure, other NPCs in other Silent Hill games have their own demons that they reflect on for you to see, but for me, in this game, it gets distracting. It feels a little forced for me, and I just can't shake it. To be honest, this game would have been better if it was its own original IP. But at the end of everything, this game just feels like Silent Hill the movie, the game. At the end of everything, you guys, I don't hate the game. It's okay, you know, and it took me having to play through it an entire second time to actually kind of see some of the smarter and more intellectual parts that you would expect from a Silent Hill game in the series. But still, as it stands, that just can't save it from all these other new things that they wanted to introduce with the series that again kind of goes hand in hand with American horror. I mean, one can't help but notice these things that they're trying to shoehorn in. They may not even be considered shoehorning, but the fact is the changes were made, and I think Silent Hill Homecoming suffered because of it. So yeah, you guys, Silent Hill Homecoming in a nutshell. Good, bad, you know, kind of in the middle for me at the end of the day. But you know what? Still something I think was appropriate all the same to talk about on Spooky, Scary Halloween. Till next time, guys. The game was doing something right because it ended up getting a sequel.